The vast universe of Marvel seems to be endless. There are a few great characters and so many others that make you wonder, what were they thinking? I give to you 10 Ridiculous Marvel Characters, Volume 1. The Fabulous Frogman. First seen in a 1982 September issue of Marvel Team Up, Frogman is a bundling hero who catches villains by sheer dumb luck. Basically just a guy donning a ridiculous frog suit. He has no true superpowers. His flippers contain electrical coils which allow him to jump long distances, and some extra padding in the frog suit so he can bounce off objects with minimum danger. I can't even attempt to make a joke for this. All you can think of is Marvel. Really? Frogman? You couldn't do better than Frogman? Owl. Just Owl. Not the Owl, or the amazing Spotted Owl. Just Owl. First seen in a Daredevil issue of 1964, he was a fairly frequent villain in the 60s and 70s. Besides just being a criminal mastermind, Owl's powers are from a serum he digests which basically gives him the powers of, well, you guessed it, an owl. He has superhuman sight, hearing, reflexes, strength, and endurance. Wielding razor-sharp steel claws attached to his forearms, he glides through the air short distances with the use of his cape. Oh, and he can also turn his head 180 degrees. Oh boy! Now does he digest his victims whole and cough up the bones and fur and some grossly slimy bald mass? That's what I want to know. Probably not. Cypher. The name says it all. Cypher was first unveiled in an issue of New Mutants 1984 and has the ability to translate anything. Yep, that's it. Language, whether spoken or written, codes by computers, or even body language, he can decipher all that and more, including alien language, because that makes sense, but that's all he can do. Yes, he's trained in some martial arts and is capable hand-to-hand fighter, but come on, lame to say the least. How many times can his powers be used before it just becomes mundane? It's already ridiculous to begin with, but if you do it every single issue, it just becomes tedious. Well, it wasn't that great in the first place. Razorback. Yeah. The massively sized trucker known as Razorback was first seen in a 1977 issue of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. Though an excellent fighter with the strength and endurance way that above your average man, they're not exactly mutant abilities. Razorback's great power is he has the ability to pilot any vehicle. Helicopter, I don't know, space shuttle, or maybe even the Death Star, who knows. And as if that superpower wasn't lame enough, his costume, which is without a doubt laughable, which had an electrified mane which even incapacitated Spider-Man. So to put it in the simplest way possible, he's a big lightning pig who knows how to drift at anything from a 1987 Honda Accord to a Star Destroyer. That's weak sauce, to say the least. Sugar Man.
Give me some sugar, baby.
At first I thought this one was a joke, a fake character made by some shroom-popping, basement-dwelling fanboy with way too much time in his hands, but sure enough, Sugar Man is a real character. As if the name wasn't ridiculous enough, look at him. He was a formidable opponent during the Age of Apocalypse storyline, and was first shown in an issue of Generation Next in 1995. His mind-boggling appearance is countered by a long list of powers ranging from super strength and a razor-sharp tongue to the ability to smell fear and alter his own mass. Maybe I'm just thrown off by the fact that he looks like a run-amok horn-possessed Mr. Potato Head.
I'll swallow your soul!
Cancer. Scuttling his bad crab self for the first time in an issue of the Avengers in 1970. Cancer was a guy who would dress up in a crab-like costume and wear large pinches on each hand which are actually really strong. That's it. If I walk around with a clamshell in my head, will Marvel make me a character? Later on, an android version of the character was created, who was considerably stronger and with a hardened shell, because as if a man dressed like a crab wasn't dumb enough, let's make a robot which looks like a man dressed up like a crab. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Livewire, yeehaw! This varmint first appeared in a 1967 issue of the Fantastic Four. Billy the Kid going electric. Armed with his trusty electrified lasso and an isolated cowboy suit, which I bet comes with one hell of a pair of electric-resistant chaps. This villain is ready to go to work and very obviously strikes fear into the hearts of all his opponents. Wild West and cowboy themed is bad enough, but a villain who combines the tackiness of the Old West with a disgruntled electrician is really asking to be ridiculed. Trick Shot. This is what happens after Hawkeye let himself go. First appearing in Solo Adventures in 1987, armed with his trusty bow, because that's original, Trick Shot used his keen mastery of archery for evil instead of good. Obviously he didn't have an Uncle Ben to show him the way.
Aww.
Outside of his skills with the bow, Trick Shot had no actual powers. I always thought Hawkeye was pretty lacking to begin with. I'm gonna get flamed for that. But then they go and basically make the same character, even with basically the same ridiculous costume, just add on a few pounds and it shows you that they were getting lazy. Walrus. Marvel. Really? Animal-themed characters is pretty lackluster to say the least, but Walrus? The Walrus first appeared in an issue of the Defenders in 1984, known for battling the Great Frogman. You remember him. That's right, Frogman! Walrus was altered by his uncle and spiked with the DNA of, you guessed it, the Walrus, which gave him some enhanced strength, agility, and endurance. And due to his Walrus DNA, he was able to hold his breath underwater for a long time. Obviously something useful when battling off that pesky superhero. And a layer of blubber which protects him from some damage, which I guess is actually useful in some way, unlike the character himself. And lastly, typeface. When you need an angry anti-hero to help out with more known superheroes, who else would you draw up besides a guy with no superpowers but draws all over his face with a pen? First seen in a 2000 issue of Peter Parker's Spider-Man series, Typeface is a raging, obviously mentally deranged, vigilante who is intelligent and skilled in combat, and besides being 2 sandwiches short of a picnic, that's about it. How do people become writers at the great Marvel Comics when they create characters who just run around and draw in their face with a grease pen? I can't even begin to fathom what happened there.